Call the meeting to order at 5:31. Jessica, you'll record the attendance. Article 2, approval of the agenda. If someone would like to make a motion to approve the agenda, is there?
I'd like to make a motion to amend
Correct.
tonight's agenda to add on conversation regarding sidewalks
Here.
in the township.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to Article 3, approval of the July 15th meeting minutes. If I could have a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
A motion to approve those minutes.
Okay.
July 15th.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then Article 4 is the approval of the July 15th informational meeting minutes. I'll take a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we'll go to Article, what is now Article 4.5,
There we go.
which we're adding to the agenda tonight to talk about sidewalk repair in the township, and Eric's here to talk to us about that.
I'll do my best to give you a generalization of what I have in front of you today. Hopefully pick it up here on this. Yeah, so what we did last year, I think as part of a $90,000 to $100,000 project is we replaced a lot of kind of piecemeal pieces of sidewalk throughout the village area, Cascade Road, Old 28th Street, kind of that loop. There was a certain number of just squares of sidewalk that were anywhere from 1 inch to 3 or 4 inches faulted, cracked up, deteriorated, basically causing what we would describe, at least in engineering, as kind of a legal hazard. If someone were to pose the issue to the township and we knew about it for some period of time, technically we are responsible for anything that could happen to anybody that would trip over that sidewalk. So the DDA spent a number of dollars, I think upwards of 90 to 100,000 last year, replacing that sidewalk. And then this year it was budgeted $50,000 to continue that repair, basically a program further down 28th Street. So I surveyed all of 28th Street, and there is from Craft to Cascade Road, actually really the old 28th, there was about 400 linear feet of sidewalk that could be replaced, majority of which is kind of in that 2-inch trip hazard threshold. The reality is, you find a spot that's 2 inches is trip hazard, and then the next 2 or 3 flags or squares of sidewalk are all cracked up. So if you replace this one, you gotta replace the whole deal. So I know 400 sounds like a lot. I think 20th Street, how could there possibly be that? But it adds up quickly. Some of it's ramp work, just ramps that are deteriorated adjacent to other deteriorated sidewalk. Maybe they're not up to ADA compliance, and if you're doing work immediately adjacent, just do the work of the ramp at the same time. So it adds up quickly. But the spirit of the contract was to replace sidewalk that is otherwise a trip hazard for a pedestrian. And as a second part of the project, we looked at Friendship Park. There's a pretty extensive sidewalk network that was added as part of that park. There is between, I don't know if I have the attachment. So if you're on Jack Smith Road right here, walking towards 28th Street, and then here's here's the pavilion. There's this little segment here. It's got what you can look at is a little bit of a boat path. People like to walk up that hill there, just because if you don't, so having talked with Dan Zwick, our parks director, having talked with manager Smith, it just seemed like a no-brainer that we would install a pathway there, that it would be a pathway for pedestrians. It would also be something that a van could use to back up their van on and drop their equipment off. So it's kind of a dual use that way.
If I was prepared, I would have had pictures in here too. During our concert series, Dan sent me 2 pictures. I can show them to you. We actually had a handicapped person that was dropped off right around here out at Jack Smith and was using a walker to come up through the grass. So it was challenging for them. And then also, there's a picture of how that's becoming a boat path. So it's truly becoming, you might have seen it when you're out there last week. It's all matted down because people are naturally coming down Jack Smith, especially when there's programming and some people park on Jack Smith, which I don't think anyone ever expected. And then they're just going up to the pavilion and all of the stuff that's on top of the hill right from there.
So Eric, with that said, or that idea where you're saying, you know, the musical artists could drop their stuff off, would we ever think of, uh, maybe making a ramp in that sidewalk so that they could back in? And there would be like a staging area, not really a staging area, but a cement pad so they could drop their stuff kind of. And that's not just for them, but I think.
At the roadway, or are you talking further up the hill?
No, just like right where that's at, I guess, but take the curbing out so that a vehicle could just drive up there.
We can certainly pose it to the Kent County Road Commission. The issue we might run into is they might not like it because it looks like pedestrian crossing. They wouldn't want to encourage pedestrians to cross where there's not. So I understand where you're coming from, and
Yeah.
truthfully, that would make it the best case scenario for actually using
Facilities,
as an access.
yeah, facilities has made a makeshift ramp, so
Oh,
they are able to get up there.
That would
Gotcha.
be my
Okay.
next. We would have to probably provide some.
It's probably out there right now.
Again, just looking it all the way through, trying to see if we could.
From a liability standpoint, I think the road commission would allow this, otherwise that would be the ideal situation.
Did you look at the safety? Is it really steep? Like, does it need rails or anything?
No, it would be, it could be ADA accessible, it's just under 5%.
And where's the closest, I mean, I'm looking at that drawing. And what comes down is not actually a walkway, and I can't remember exactly where the next walkway is. Does it connect to that circle
Yeah.
down in the lower right?
This
So it's-
walkway somehow ties in back.
Okay, so it's down
This
there.
ties into the circle drive.
Okay,
So if you're on Jet 50 walking down to the circle drive,
got it,
I think you're even doing something like this.
got it. So it doesn't connect.
And it's a little awkward. It's one
Yeah.
of those things that when you design it, I think
Yeah.
you don't think about it. When you
Yeah.
start to use it, you realize.
Right.
No way to go from here to here, and especially with this prairie grass, these beds that are growing all over.
Sure,
There's nothing to the north.
Yeah.
So if you go towards 28,
Yeah.
there's no access there.
and the users have shown us how they want to use it, so.
Yeah, and this actually, this funding here is gonna come out of the library maintenance fund, won't come out of the. But it is because it's in the DDA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So we received, unfortunately, we only received one bid, which unfortunately, and in the last few years, it's actually been very uncommon. I didn't expect to get one sidewalk contractor bid on it. I know a number that looked at it. I talked to a couple after the fact, and I think it's a very busy time of season. And, for some, I mean, I don't want to take a small contract, but I think the work that's out there, it's a relatively small contract. The contractor we did get is Epic Excavating, same contractor as last year. Their bid was in about 15% over my estimate. So I would, from my point of view, that's a pretty reasonable bid. If you have just one to look at, that's probably your best case scenario, other than it just being cheaper, but.
How long will that last us? Like, is it every so many years we have to kind of redo?
The sidewalk's done correctly, it should be there for a number of decades.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing about sidewalk programs, well, this is not like a program, this is just some repair. Walkability, accessibility, but we'll fix this portion, but then you never know what the next section is gonna do next year. Sidewalk repairs never come home, like, you really per se, but this, like I said, Eric's point, this section that's repaired should last. A long
Yeah,
time.
I mean, if you build a sidewalk correctly, I would venture to say, should get you 40, 50 years. Truth is, not in this case, but if there's a tree next to it that heaves it with its roots. If a utility company comes in and bores under it and subsides, you know, just somebody, if early ground drove their trucks on it and it was only like, say, a 4-inch, this is a thin slab, but say it was only like a 4-inch slab that wasn't built for. That's usually where you get issues where concrete starts to break up, causes issues, or it was something that was built 30 years ago and it was built with a spec that didn't have a 6-inch gravel base, and it's 3 inches of concrete here, it's 2 inches, it wasn't uniform, it wasn't inspected, the concrete mix wasn't tested when they installed it. So there's a number of things that cause those type of failures, but built correctly, like this is going to be built. It should last 40, 50 years, no problem.
So the proposed 400 feet or so linear feet of concrete was going to be 54 or the 62 that was just listed on that other.
Yeah, so the work at Friendship Park is about $8,000 at the total sum.
But that's being covered by someone else.
Yeah, so you're looking at about 54, 55,000, that would be for the repair. No, I don't, we know how we want to approach that, if we want to pare that down, if we want. Because there'll be an additional, having talked to our engineer, there'll be an additional about 5,000 for inspection and ducting, at least on the new stuff. I don't mind going out and marking and replacement stuff and kind of being a little more lax with the contractor on that. But the new sidewalk that we're building certainly wants somebody to state, it has to be staked, it has to kind of be surveyed so that it is built correctly, to ADA, and it has to have testing on the materials.
The 54 was the estimate, I think, right?
Yeah.
54 was the estimate, 62 is the
So
total.
what came in?
You have 62, of the 62, you can take 8,000 off of that for the library.
So we're back to
So
50.
you're talking 54, right? The budget was for 50.
And so we still currently have 50 within the budget for 2025.
Correct. So that 54 though with Eric's last comment though would probably be about $5,000 more because of the engineering. So you're talking about 59,000.
So we have,
We can manage to the 50. That's the good thing about sidewalk programs is that you can say, I want to pare this down, but it's up to the DD if they want to fund the extra 9,000 to.
And a little bit's built into there. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't squeeze the foot. I mean, it's conservative, the investigation. So if there's 50,000 bid, it could really be a 42, 45, kind of grants that.
And if it's trip hazards, we don't want to risk.
Mhm.
The
Big
township doesn't want to have
liability.
if someone falls on a,
Yeah.
simple sidewalk.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part, you know.
Well,
I
that's
come here to show you this stuff, and now you know about it, so someone will after.
Yeah.
Who also want to be good stewards of the
Yeah.
public? So it's a tricky, you know, and I don't go to replay, I don't, and it's just good practice, I don't go mark anything until I know a contract is gonna go pick up and place it next week, right? I don't, because you don't want to tell your public, hey, this is a problem. You want to fix it, you don't want to
Mhm.
be lingering. You don't want lingering on issues, right? But I would really
Okay.
approach it from the financial side, I can certainly make happen.
So we need to make a decision on on
It would be nice.
spending this.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to do it. One is, well, there's three options. One, a motion to not do it. A motion to do it and stay within the 50,000 allocated budget.
Mhm.
Or three, to approve it and allow the full scope to be completed. We do have dollars in the budget that have gone unspent this year that we can move around. So there is dollars within the budget to do it.
even if that purchase happens?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think, I make a motion to approve with
I
full
second.
Option three, yeah,
option 3.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. Great.
Motion passed.
Thank you guys for considering that on such short notice. That is all on me. I thought you were. I forgot. to sign my phone.
Moving on to Article 5, the Tassel Park contract approval.
Okay, you want me to take this? You want to take this?
You can take it.
Okay, so as you know, we went out to bid. And the RV that is in your packet, I explained, the process that we went through. Went out for RFQ for qualified consultant to bid on the completion, final design of Castle Park and the open space improvements in the village area. That will include the design, construction, administration, engineering, everything that it needs to be done to bring that project from this point forward to completion. We received 8 consultants that put in, and I shouldn't back up. And after we received the 8, we had a committee that was made up of myself, the supervisor, Michelle, and Eric, our township engineer, James Wick, our Parks and Facilities Director, and our temporary DDA director, our manager, who's here. We had a lot of good insight, and Wendy Quirsench, the township treasurer. So we had a lot of eyes on it, some, on the staff, and then some elected officials, and some on TDA component as well. So we reviewed all the applications or all of the submissions, and then we scored them. So individually, each person submitted their scores, and then we interviewed the top 4 consultants after we tallied up who should be interviewed. Out of that, we had some follow-up conversations with the Troyer Group, who has some local connection. Like Rizzo is here today, is from the Troyer Group. Although the company originated out of Indiana, he's a local resident of Cascade, and he partnered with Police in Vanderbrink. We've been there right around the corner. They work with the township and have a good history with the township. And then also Wes Landon, who was the designer of Friendship Park. Minus the current sidewalk that we're putting. But, so the collaboration between the three, they came in, interviewed. We had a lot of questions, some follow-up questions, sent them back, some questions, had another follow-up interview. I feel comfortable moving forward, with them and recommending them to the DDA to bring them on as their consultant to see them through to the end. From a cost perspective, their initial design cost was probably, the lowest out of everybody to complete the final designs. And then from everything after that, it's all based on the construction cost and how big the project is. And they came in at 8%, which was standard, across the board. So, with all of that, being said, try to cover it. Yeah, I recommend to do the final design, development, engineering services, permitting and regulatory coordination, bidding assistance, and then construction administration. So, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, or Grace can answer questions too. Mike is here today from Troyer Group to answer questions. I think Eric is here as well, but I can hear it. We've got lots of people to talk about the process, but we're excited to get going.
So at this time, so you provided a proposed plan, I'm assuming, to the subcommittee or nothing like
There
that?
hasn't been a plan, it just was the previous village concept plan that we discussed, and we talked about it in our interview, kind of our reaction to that and some, ideas. But we haven't presented a plan. That's the first step, is to work with everyone to develop a final plan, based on the feedback we've heard.
So it was more figuring out if they had the infrastructure, so to speak, to be able to handle the scope of this project.
Yeah.
So the the request for qualifications was really to look at the qualifications of the consultants firm to say, can they handle the project? And the people that they brought to the table was it a good fit for the township to work with, and the DDA to work with to complete the project. So it was really on the qualifications of them, not so much on the design.
Gotcha. Okay.
And OHM was one of the 8 that submitted a proposal. And there were 2 issues with them, I think. One, for this this is design and actually building it, but they're in Ohio and they have local offices in it's too far. It's impractical, I think.
Mhm.
And then also, we've gotten feedback from the board of trustees, different residents, a lot of feedback with the existing design, and some of it's positive with the stuff we heard, but there's also like a kind of slowly growing concern that that's a start from scratch, too much on a good part, tone it down. It's not like, I don't think that design was as popular. I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of,
Tassel Park?
no, the concept, the concept
Oh,
that we got.
okay, that they had originally,
Mhm.
okay, all right.
And then
Yeah.
the previous donors for Tassel, which we were lucky that they reached out, are really concerned. And I heard more yesterday that they're super upset. So it was less that combined with them being so far away.
Yeah.
And frankly, their proposal was just kind of phoned in.
Mhm.
We wanted to balance engineering and design.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great that you guys partnered with Lisa and Vandenbrink, who also submitted a proposal on their own.
Yeah,
But you want to make sure you have the design too. I personally really like Wes's emphasis on the native.
yeah. He's a really good designer.
And Lisa did, yeah, it was good. Now, Mike is on the Parks Committee, so we need to make sure we'll disclose that.
Usually it's a form.
Mhm,
So both
There'll be a form that's,
local but more flexible
mhm,
for feedback and changes.
mhm. And so we know he's got skin in the game and would feel really bad if it went south. His family would be.
You have
And then I live a mile from the park, so I
You
live-
can't help but drive by it.
And you'd have to keep going to those board meetings.
We just thought we'd squeeze some extra work out of him too.
So Mike, what do you think? What's your preliminary thoughts?
So, I think, like Greg said, the concept plan that was done for the village has some merit, but there's a lot there that is great, and bringing the donors, there's a lot that we should keep and we don't. want to just have a clean slate. So I think focusing on the Tuffy corner, the riverfront and improving access, how the park kind of relates to Thornapple River Drive. And just kind of makes that whole area more walkable and connected to the village. And then also kind of knowing this is kind of a first phase or, starting this whole village plan, we want to set the tone for that development and what kind of, comes next. So, from the design, materials, aesthetics, all of that needs to play in and fit well, not just for this site, but kind of looking forward to the context around it. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing that I saw with that plan is we're just kind of lacking the context around the site to really make it fit.
So how do you plan on including the donors, the previous donors into the overall scope, do you know?
So, one, kind of understanding, what they're, it's not gonna be the original, but it's be the families now, I would guess, but kind of understanding, what's important to them. And then being able to, build on that while making sure that, their investment is honored, but maybe there's maintenance on the restroom building or one of the structures, being able to tackle that with the project and ease maintenance, but still keeping the materials and the look in the main structure. So you kind of having that conversation with them and seeing where that could go and tie into some of the new developments for the park.
Yeah.
And then there's multiple donors, so
Yeah.
things from Kingsland, and so there's,
And they were interested in
Later.
possibly being involved in the future. At least one of them kind of.
Well, I think it's critical and, and as you brought it up, it's like, oh, how stupid of us not to even, yes. Not
So
to
we
even
had
have,
an initial conversation with them recently, a couple times, and I think one of the kind of the process that we were looking at forward with is doing an initial meeting internally to talk about, the must-haves, the basic designs, and having Mike and his team come up with something, but then a second meeting with them, with Mike, to look at what's on the table, what's happening to what they've donated, get their feedback, and then we make sort of adjustments. So that at least we have something on paper
Mhm.
for them to look at and react to.
Mhm.
Like there was it kind of looks more modern, but when she's a daughter of one of the big donors who I think grew up there, and one, like an overlook near the splash pad is called like Ruby's Gazebo, to not look like a gazebo, but it was the location it was after her grandmother, and that in the OHM plan, through no fault of their own, they didn't know, right? They're just coming in and starting from scratch, which is another thing that was completely gone. Something else was built kind of near it. Well, that location, you could tweak it a little bit, and you could still have that as a potential like small site for performers and still have the amphitheater with natural rocks that go up the hill. So it was, and then not every trustee, pretty much a lot of them mumbled after that second OHM meeting where DDA was there with the board, like, so we're gonna drop $10 million on a perfectly good park. Like it was the whole start from scratch thing kind of irked people the wrong way. And also I think people need a visual of that Tuffy corner. They need to see that.
Right.
They need to see what it's gonna look like.
Right.
We've got time it's not a bad park. We can still tweak it and stuff, but that Tuffy corner people need to be able to visualize what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
And that needed to happen yesterday.
And
It's
how-
not anyone's fault. It's just we have to move on it. And we didn't have that at all.
Yeah. How it ties in with what's existing, right? What gets updated with the existing, not throw the baby out with the
Mhm.
bathwater. Update it, fix things that need to be fixed.
Mhm.
Tie the new piece in, and then now that the property across the street is on the table, what's the connectivity of those two, and even visualizing or at least coming up with concept of, what happens then down the road or
Mhm.
as soon as possible or whatever that looks like, so that all of those pieces play well together.
Mhm.
It was actually interesting that we had the board work session in regards to the possible purchase of that property the night before we had the interviews. So we were able to talk to all of the interviewers on if this was required, this is a must, a safe crossing underneath the bridge. So
Yeah,
Mike's knew about it, all of them knew about it, like during their interview, that this was gonna be something that's going to be priority for the project as well. So between Tuffy, reverse, and then that cross underneath, I mean, that's the impact, that's the placemaking, that's gonna really make the DDA, this destination and the DDA for the residents to.
and then what do we do with that corner in front of the building where the guy that designs and develops websites? There's like a lot of concrete there.
I think it'll be interesting to see what the lot lines are,
Yeah,
because Berber's fence went right up to his building.
oh, it did, oh, yeah, you mean, so,
So that-
okay,
but,
whatever that
We've
is.
talked a lot about streetscape.
Yeah,
And what is it, to
Yeah.
define the DDA, so I think that that's a perfect opportunity, whatever happens. If that building never sell,
yeah,
they didn't want to include it in the park, it could stay as a business, but you could do a streetscape out front that could actually define it along with everything else.
yeah.
So it could all look uniform.
Yeah, but those are the kinds of things, I mean, I think some of the challenges that the township has had over the years is that things have been done sort of piecemeal.
Yeah.
Like one-offs everywhere, and so there's not a lot of connectivity.
Yes.
Exactly. So how do we now do each, because you can't do it all at once because money and time but how do we do it thinking about what those next pieces are and how it all fits together?
So something that we've talked about, I think I've talked about with a couple of you, and I've talked about with Grace too, is that this part here is gonna kind of define that piece of it, so. Or that look and feel and that branding, so
Yeah.
let's say all of a sudden we get someone that wants to redevelop something down 28th Street, and we have an official streetscape guide.
Yeah,
That says this is the look and feel to the
Yeah.
DDA.
Yeah.
And it plays off of what's happening at the park at, or not, well, Cascade Road.
yeah,
So depending on what the plantings are, whatever brick is being
Mhm.
used, whatever kind of fencing being used,
Mhm.
lighting, you carry that all the way down from there, all the way down to 96, and no matter who's doing it,
yeah,
it starts to look,
right.
those pieces
Right.
start to look like a whole
Yeah.
puzzle.
Those then ever since, so they've got the light poles up on the bridge now, which look really nice, and the whole fencing looks nice, and I mean, it looks so much better
much
than
better.
it used to, it just looked awful before. And so it truly is, and we've always talked, or for the last 2 years, talked about, that's one of the gateways into the village. Another one coming down 28th Street, the other one coming in from the other side of Cascade Road, so this is a great opportunity, I mean, this is the first piece of that. So we get the opportunity to like,
Yeah, and if we do it right, and we
Yeah.
work with Mike.
no,
uh,
when we do it, right.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess what I'm saying is when we do it right financially.
Yeah.
If we spend our money wisely.
Yeah.
Make this part of piece, and if we do the bonding correctly, you don't know what the next step could be, so that's why writing the bond language appropriately to allow us to expand whatever we do further into the entire district, so.
Yeah.
It may seem like we're concentrating on that right now, which we are, but if we do it right, then we may have some excess funds to go out and continue that.
Yeah.
Wherever that may be, wherever it's appropriate.
And could there be things that maybe, if we do focus on this and have it done really right, it sets the tone for everything else. Could there be things that are like, we're not gonna do it now, but maybe there's the branding of
Yeah.
entering the village.
Mhm.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's not there right away, but
Yeah,
For
it
sure,
could be
Right.
for
added.
sure. Yeah.
I just have a question, just because I have to, but rhetorically, is there any appetite for building high-rise type places, high-density type places in the village?
No.
No, but there are rumors that there are, no, I don't think so. I'm actually curious. No,
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 the zoning
When you-
zoning won't allow.
but right now there's no residential at all, so arguably it would be allowing residential up to. But again, you have to have the
Define
commercial on the first, no, but
I
it's
think define
basically
high-
allowing
When you
residential.
say high rise.
What,
You couldn't
for
get
35 feet, I guess?
Well, 30, that's only 2 stories.
Yeah,
Okay, so
then that's,
would there be acceptable to build more apartments like the ones by Bowling? And
No, can't do it. You're talking about
I
behind,
just want
the
that
light
on the
bluish
record.
gray ones. Cannot, you would not be allowed to build it.
those
Okay.
townhouses.
Yeah,
that
with
are
the
back there.
private road in the
Yeah,
middle that's
yeah.
already got gravel, like,
Yeah,
yeah, no
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Can't do it. Can you even have a building that's 100% residential? Does it have to have the
I don't think
commercial?
in that district, I have to,
I think it has to have.
we talked
commercial in
about
the-
it so much that now it's all blurred in my head, I have to go back.
You know what, honestly, I seriously think, because we went. I think that a lot of builders or developers, developers always want to be able, are never happy with restrictions. I think we went so far with the restrictions that, I mean, the right developer could do it, but the only thing you're gonna get
The master plan, the
expensive
zoning are,
condos, and if anything, it's like super snobby, and most developers are gonna be like, good luck, Cascade, yours not as good as you think you are, like, you can't, it's, if anything, I would say we may have gone too strict. I don't
think the emphasis.
I don't think we necessarily did, but it's
the
right
first one
yet.
has to be
controlling it.
And then there were some allowances for residential above that. But the allowances that I believe are still on the table in the draft format are requiring some pretty big units.
Mhm.
So for instance, we've used Rishi's building as an example, and I think with what's in the new zone and keep it only to 2 units over that. Side by side, and it would be like
So
almost
we're-
2,000 square foot apartment condos.
And that
That's pretty big
wording,
for an apartment condo over.
A
the way it
second
was
story.
previously written, even though it wasn't necessarily intended, I think you could have gotten more height and more.
That's been changed.
Yeah,
since then.
we changed it.
So
Or it's
what is the current height limit, do we know?
35.
Very bad.
Well,
That's-
'cause- so the only ones I can think of are the old, condos in those buildings in Centennial that are what, 3 stories or 4 stories?
Oh, way down there by the highway?
Yeah, I can't think of any other
Wait, are those
building,
condos or apartments?
they're condos.
They're
There's a
apartments.
couple of condos in there.
Okay.
They're not very
They're-
many.
I mean, they're not rent,
Okay.
they're not for rent, they're,
So not the Ridges, a different place than the
No, the
Ridges.
business,
The Ridges are apartments.
those are, some are,
But-
some are.
but those are only, aren't those like townhouses?
Well,
Yeah.
they're apartments. but-
No, I'm talking about in Centennial, which was built way back in the 70s.
Yeah, I know
There
which
is
one you're talking.
one
There's one
building,
for sale right
one
now.
or 2 buildings, right, right,
Oh,
and they're.
Is it on the bottom?
before the. bridge.
Correct,
It's just like a
Correct.
studio.
but it's the only building I can think of in Cascade Township that's like that.
How does it look? I don't know what it looks like.
It's,
wouldn't-
you know,
They
it,
wouldn't like it in the DDA zone, it's kind of high rise a little bit.
well, yeah, I think it's
More than
either
35 feet.
3 or 4 stories. I
Yeah.
know it's 3 for sure. But it's the only building I can think of that's like that
Yeah.
in Cascade.
But that's not,
Where that is.
but that's not part of the, right?
No, because on top of the height restriction that was added, and then the big thing is, how a lot of times you'll get apartment developments, condos or apartments where you want to go, like, have a lot of units, take out or add, squeeze lots, combine lots, and you'll have more. The way that McKenna did it with the zoning, it encourages, like, you cannot
Right.
do that. You have
Right.
to have variations in architecture and
Right.
space, like, you cannot get
Right,
that.
or they have carrots that if you do this, then, or if you want this, then you have to do this, which is a lot
Makes
of
it really
things like,
expensive.
Mhm.
well, like landscaping and green
You
space
can't have- I
and
don't think you
things
have
like that,
vinyl.
so.
Okay, so to loop us all back in, what we need to do is we need to approve, no,
Yeah.
okay. No, I'm not, I know, we
It's unfair.
go on the tangents a lot.
So we need a motion, we need a motion to approve this contract. To approve Troyer Group,
Oh, yeah, on that
the
page.
contract that,
Gotcha, okay.
so,
So I will make a motion to approve Troyer Group as the professional services for the final design, engineering, project construction, and administration of Tassel Park and the open spaces in the village area.
I second.
all in favor, any opposed? Motion passed. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Very excited.
Thank you.
Article 6, staff updates.
There's been a lot going on, but we've already talked about a lot of it, so I don't have a lot of updates. But in your packet, I put a couple of key things we're working on. One is, now that the bridge is done, we're looking at lighting and decor for that bridge. When I say decor, we're not gonna make it gaudy, but like seasonal flags, flowers, those types of things that we could put on the bridge seasonally and just like you can see in other communities, to really kind of, again,
The
find
entry.
that entrance. So they're working on that.
I have a question on the lights. So the poles are all up. I know they're not lamped yet. Are they wired? Is everything wired at this
I think
point?
they work.
I think they're on.
I've seen them on.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, no, well, there's no lamps in them.
It's LED, I think.
What do you mean, like?
Because I drove by, correct.
LED.
There's no- I haven't, well, okay, if they are, then I just haven't driven by at the right time to meet me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're on?
They're.
Okay,
Are they on purpose, like, it's not super bright and facing down, or is that just how?
I mean, I'd have to look at the light configuration of them. They probably mimic what we already had for the rest of the road. But the road commission might have stipulated that they can't shine so much in the road too. They might, I don't remember that. I'd have to look at the exact spec. Those lights come in like 5 different lighting specs that stipulate downward lights, slightly out, like oval, circular. You can get a lot of configurations. I'm not exactly sure. I would have thought they ordered what was exactly further up the street, but the road commission might have stipulated that they're.
It looked
a little
good,
more-
because you could have it so bright, it just was nicely done.
I agree. Yeah, well,
Mm,
what
yeah.
you brought it
Yeah.
to-
No, it was.
Yeah,
I just thought you nailed it.
They look cozy.
I'm just gonna drive out. Okay, sorry,
No, you're.
I thought I would drove by, I don't know, one night and seemed like it was dark enough, but probably not. Okay,
Task Park and open space update, we talked about, we just awarded the contract, in regards to, Herbergs. I mean, it's out there, we can talk about it openly, I don't propose they haven't occurred yet, but we're doing environmental, so that's still in process.
So we did win the bid.
We did,
Oh,
yeah. So, yeah, so that will be part of the final design and be part of the township's future plan, so. As soon as that closes, like I said at the last meeting, to make sure that we get reimbursement on the bond, we'll be passing a resolution of reimbursement that will allow the bond proceeds to reimburse the general fund. You weren't here for this, so, so the DDU is gonna fund the purchase of that, and then part of that bond process, part of those proceeds will then reimburse the DDA to free up those funds to be part of the fund balance.
okay. And has environmental been done on the coffee property? yet? Partial, okay.
Yeah.
And is it,
Oh, that works now. That was the best of the above ground. The underground will be all part of this next, the project.
but was it like really
No,
big? Oh, good,
it was not
Okay.
a surprise, but we haven't gotten into the ground.
yeah,
So,
okay.
Zoning amendment, we just briefly touched on some of that, just to kind of let you guys know about that process. We held a public hearing last night at the planning commission that was held here in this room. Michelle was here, Grace was here. We had about 80 residents that showed up, about 13 spoke. More questions. I think, Michelle, your observation was correct. We're not kicking anybody out of the planning and zoning for the future, not kicking people out of their location now. The board has a work session next Monday at 5 o'clock back here. And then the zoning amendment is going to be introduced to the board on the 27th and then adopted on the 10th. Everything stayed on track. It could get thrown off if there's all work that needs to get done. All the conversation.
It'll just be interesting to see how many people come next week at the 2 meetings.
It was positive last night or just questions or negative?
All the above.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think a lot of it was form-based code concerns people. So if you, I mean, so building like your own, if you're not, you know, if you want to reinvest, there's some guidelines that have to be adhered to now that are different than what they are now. So that I think there's lots of questions that do for some people. But that's where I think some of the concern comes in.
I think there's a fear of turning this little village area into lots of apartments, bringing a lot of residents in and changing the feel. But
Or,
then the flip side is 2 people get up and complain that it's not affordable for their kids to live in, so.
well, but the interesting thing that I heard was making, these updates or adjustments or renovations or whatever too high end so that things become unaffordable. There were a few people that talked about people who were looking for space and they stopped looking in Ada because it's so expensive. And that they're looking here because it's more cost effective. And so there were a few landlords that were here that were saying, if we don't want to price ourselves out of the market. We don't want to make this so unaffordable that we can't lease the space out. So, which I think is that initial fear. It's like, once you sat down and like worked some numbers and looked at, and luckily, Andrea brought up the fact that we're gonna have this facade grant program so that it helps on the financial side for any of these commercial owners that want to update their buildings, which I was glad that she brought that up. Cause it's like, it's change, and they're concerned about, what does that mean for me?
You know, I think it's
Pretty
fair. Yeah,
Mhm.
developers are the ones that are gonna have the ones that are concerned, so. I think Ray said it last night too, really well. We don't control the market, I mean,
No,
so, I don't think our zoning isn't controlling the market either. Just because we're zoning it this way, it doesn't mean that it's. It's gonna be the right fit, the right fit between the property, the developer, zoning, it all marries together.
right.
So just trying to think ahead in regards to the zoning that township is looking at. Does any type of business and or residential come to mind to say automatically I'm going to be excluded? Where if I was thinking of opening a business or something here in Cascade Township based on the zone, I can't even go out there because they're not going to allow.
Yep, and the key is it's a real small area, starting from the Thornapple River at Tuffy down to the plaza, at Bowling, Dollar Tree, go up to 28th Street, up to Old 28th Street. It's like that triangle. So absolutely, yes, there's a lot that wouldn't be allowed there, and it's a very small area. You're looking for a certain, like a ton. Tommy's can't go there.
But they
Domino's
can't go there because of how their building looks, right? Not because
Correct.
they're a car wash.
Correct.
Although, yes, yeah.
Because of the corporate branding that needs to go on those buildings.
So,
Right, now the car washes aren't allowed, but
Correct.
their corporate branding doesn't fit the aesthetic.
But they
it's
did,
a very interesting conversation. Look at a lot of downtowns, traditional downtowns that have very strict form-based codes. I have experience in this as well, where you have a State Farm or Edward Jones, or you have a Subway, or one of those restaurants that have a defined look. They will adapt to the form-based code in their signage.
Mhm.
They're they're branded with their sign, so as long as they comply with your sign ordinance, the form-based code, it can still work. It's
Yeah.
just whether that corporation is willing
Right,
to do that. And some of the times, they're not.
no,
There's too many lights.
right.
Like McDonald's in Ada years and years ago.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
it's a next.
So
Yeah.
that was
They did not allow drive-throughs at the
Right.
time, and they were in that corner, and they changed their normal way of doing
Yeah.
it.
Redwood developed, there's probably a lot
Yeah.
more, but that development that is behind Culver's, and
And
that.
also behind Walmart.
Mhm. I can't remember, I need to know, but I think you may not even be allowed to have exclusively residential. I can't remember if it's had to be commercial on the first floor.
I think it does, but I don't know about that. I don't know what's called myself.
I just have a quick question. I don't want to delay things. It's just for my information of learning about this type of stuff. Like downtown Lowell. Drive through Main Street. What's that?
So I'm gonna speak out of turn, and I could be possibly wrong, but knowing what I know of Lowell, that's a traditional downtown that's been there forever. They
Yeah.
probably, that is just the way that downtown has evolved,
Yeah,
and it happens to just look the way that it is.
yeah,
If I was betting, they probably do not have form-based code there. It's just, those are the.
That's the way it
buildings
was.
that they have.
Yeah.
right.
I worked in a community that had a traditional downtown. We did not have form-based code.
Mm-mm.
But we had some very specific things in the zoning that required them to go back to original brick and wood. if that's what the building was made out of. And so they had to go back and make the buildings is more original than, and more appropriate. These were 100-year-old buildings. You're talking the 3-story brick ones where you had the masons and the opera houses and things like that. It's beautiful. The one thing we forgot to do was say that it's been painted red.
Yeah.
So now when you drive downtown, everything, your bright blue shirt, we have a yellow coffee shop and everything. Then all of a sudden it just became, oh, I guess we're gonna paint it down here. Right. So
Lowell has a pretty strong historical group that, which is why that downtown area was able to not just stay the way it was, but that they could build on that and
Mhm.
had a culture that wanted those old buildings to stay there. And, I mean, there's like,
is that downtown?
And we don't have that really.
Yeah.
That's really-
Right.
You know, the national history.
I don't know that they're on the National Register, but it's certainly not like Heritage Hill. But I mean, because Lowell is like 4 and 5 generations old of families, you know, though they didn't, that culture wanted to keep it there. And so they found, and there's a really vibrant cultural group that started out with the Arts Council that's there, and they just keep feeding that.
And we're
So
trying to
it's-
evolve.
Yeah, it's organically grown with great restaurants and things like that. I mean, they've nurtured it.
And we won't get it because that kind of quality and character, we just don't really, it's so expensive,
No.
you just don't see it. But you can still get a
Right.
nicer.
Well, I mean, I still believe that the trick with all of this going forward is how do we create places where somebody's gonna wanna put a really great local restaurant in, or a shop, or, you know, they'll only come if we like create the right place and the right culture and people actually celebrate it and want to support it. And that's what Lowell's been able to do.
And I think.
Every one of those restaurants is
So our
busy
zoning,
every
Jake,
weekend.
is it fair to say right now our zoning currently that is in effect, you could build a Dollar Tree on Old 28th Street?
Yes,
So,
I believe that, yes, you could.
and with the proposed new zoning, you could not.
Right. So
So
we're trying
quality
to
was probably
curate
said too
that
much last night.
look and feel to build that culture within the village
To
area.
scale, right? Because Ada
Right.
was
Exactly.
a whole
Exactly.
different.
Well, I mean, like Lowell's been able to do, of course, they've got some great architecture.
Mhm.
And I think our zoning supports, like what you're. And open a really nice restaurant, or let's say JT's wanted to redevelop their site and keep JT's.
Yeah,
It allows them to do that and
Right.
then more to it, but
Right.
right now. It's difficult.
And they don't have to because they just did a huge remodel
They
not
did.
too long ago.
they did.
So I think,
The building looks better than it did before, after they did that.
personally, again, just having this conversation, and as you were talking about the 80 people that were here last night, I could see where they could get some anxiety, truly. Again, as a business owner, but also as, you know, somebody who's maybe lived in the community and knows the village area and so forth. And it's like, okay, these are a lot of, I don't want to say radical changes, but if, you know, Richie, who has a business in the village and wants to develop that, he's got to look very closely and work within this box to meet those demands of the township to say, okay, is the squeeze going to be worth enough to get the juice out of this thing? And if not, I'm making money now. I'm just going to leave me as I am until we are out of business, and then that'll be someone else's problem.
Yes,
Right.
100%.
So yeah, so they need to have that reassurance again, that this isn't something that's just gonna happen, but everybody just needs to be patient. And you know, you may find, why isn't nobody developing here? Well, it's just too many restrictions. I don't want to do it.
We may have to.
And you may have to modify
I think we.
in the
may
years
have-
ahead. So, you know, as long as everybody's can pivot and be a little bit flexible, listening,
Mhm,
I think that's gonna be really important to make it work for the community.
mhm.
That's why I was really glad that Andrea brought up the fact that this facade grant program would be going
Yeah, because
into
it would
effect.
give me, okay, there's a possible relief.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I get it. If your neighbors around you are all doing this new thing and, you know, updating their buildings or do whatever, and then I'm here.
Yeah.
And to your point, I feel like I feel peer pressure. I'm getting squeezed.
Yeah.
So the time did the right thing by pulling it back and doing this, and then being able to say, but we have there's a carrot. If you want to do these updates, there's help. There's assistance available, financial assistance.
Okay, so we got through your first planning commission meeting.
Sorry.
No, we gotta ask these questions, but we also,
Well, I think it was.
somebody's just gotta growl us back.
It's not only, you know, your DEA, you're the ones that are supporting this facade and for this like, site grant application.
Right.
Right? Well, that's a serious consideration to have in the future financially, because, you know, as we're going through some of these applications that are coming in, these people are investing large dollars, large amounts of money. So it's something that we're gonna have to have more conversation on moving
Yeah.
forward, saying, okay,
Yeah.
this is starting to take off, and the demand is there.
Yeah.
Are we ready to make the commitment to help them more?
It may be a
So-
big priority for us.
Right.
If we look at our list of things,
And that's just in the village. I mean, the district is really long.
right,
So,
right.
you know, so it's just a lot of conversations to have in the future, which is, I actually think is exciting.
mhm.
You know, I think that there's lots of potential and lots of conversations to have in education. 'Cause I think a lot of it comes down to education for current property owners.
Yeah, we don't want to shove it through if it's not what people want. It's just a lot of the conversation and questions last night. It seemed to be more like there was a misunderstanding or.
Right. Well, it's because they don't know, I mean, we haven't done this before, so their experience has been different. But I said to Grace, going forward, that maybe the preface is nothing, you're not going to be forced to do anything. We're not pushing people out. Here's what we're not doing. And then go through the zoning changes in a way, because I think that that's what they, you know, and there's a lot of information there.
Yeah, there was a lot that he went through.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that was a lot.
it was a lot. And
He went fast.
Mhm.
yes,
So,
yeah. And so maybe even it's a more executive summary of that with, you know, the highlights, but help them understand the big pieces. And then, because I think it just was like,
Mhm. It was a.
But some of the conversations we've had have been very constructive too. We had a conversation with almost the whole homeowners association a couple of weeks ago. That I think produced a lot of good conversation.
Yeah.
And actually they showed up last night and they spoke and said, thank you for listening, and made a couple of changes.
Yeah.
Because of what they came in,
Yeah.
you know, and talked about.
Yeah.
So-
And that started the same thing too. It was kind of fearful of what it could be.
yeah,
So.
Fair.
Fear of change.
Mhm.
it is. And change is hard for everybody.
I think if you also if you have a dynamic board, whether it's planning or zoning or, and they're realizing that these are new changes and maybe something out overlooked, there's that vision and that care for the community that, you know what, yeah, maybe we can step out of the bounds of this one because it makes sense. And still is in the spirit of what's going on. I think that makes a big difference too. I think a lot of times when we're so rigid on it's this box that you don't use your common sense and go, yeah, it doesn't quite fit in this box, but it actually makes it better.
Hmm.
Then you've got to be able to have a board, whether it's a TDA or planning or zoning, to be able to have the leadership to say, yeah, actually, we can make an exception to that because it adds value and it makes sense. So I think for the most part, I think everyone that I work with here or wherever else, most people are understanding of that. Most,
And things are gonna change in 10 years.
for sure.
Yeah.
How do you want, you might as well get ahead of it.
Yeah, just in aesthetics,
Yeah, you
whatever.
keep going back to talk about the village area. And that's a lot of the residents are concerned with the park. So my biggest concerns is Centennial Park. That office space is never, I don't think it's ever gonna be rented. There's a lot of vacancies
Yeah.
there because people are not going back to office
No.
settings like that. So what are we doing there? We're getting a lot of pushback from some of the board members there.
Yeah.
So that to me is one to watch because I don't know if this current zoning is gonna support anything being developed.
Mhm.
So our office building is 100% rented with people wanting space. Well, on space that's not rented, but I've got 3 people asking me for it and I just haven't.
Really?
Is it in
Where is
Centennial
it?
Park?
No, but I'm just saying,
Oh.
like, not in Centennial Park, but people do need office space. So maybe it's not just that people aren't going back to office space, maybe it needs to be looked
More
at.
corporate. So Centennial, those buildings have floors of companies that, you know, are leasing that space.
Ours are all small businesses.
Yeah,
With
that's the
so-
difference.
Yeah.
That's
smaller
the
square
difference.
footage.
I think the last day is top piece right now.
There's a lot of vacancies. I mean, you go through, there's.
Corporate vacancy is over 30% right now. In my entire career, I never saw 30%, and it's higher than that now.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do with all that?
And there's
space?
vacant, not just the vacant land or the vacant buildings, there's vacant land over there too. There's a building that was taken down and there's also 7 acres. So I'm not saying everything has to be developed. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, there's
Right,
a lot of opportunity in that park. I think
Right.
that in a few years, let's see what happens. if we have to-
What a great area. We don't want corporate blight.
No, no, they said, let's leave it the way it is, like, you don't want that.
No.
They know what they're-
And that area can absorb growth in a way that it doesn't negatively affect, the rest of Cascade, I would say, because you're so close to all
So close to
the
the
shopping.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah,
a
it's
huge
such a-
demand for like
They do
people.
more in there, it could be really cool.
Yeah, the condos that are there, they may be outdated, but they have
yeah.
super
A
nice
lot of
lot.
people have
and
bought those. and
They're nice.
redone.
I just sold 2 or 3 of them.
I would buy one of
Just this
those
summer.
and redo it the way I want versus one of those really expensive ones at the Lantern.
They're really nice.
The location,
Yeah,
the layout.
They
is
are,
better.
they're well built too.
And we always hear too, right? Like as people get older and their kids grow and leave, and
Yeah.
you've got this big house and course still,
Mhm.
still want to stay, but you want to go down to a
Mhm.
condo. I mean, Centennial Park,
Yeah,
I think we went,
Yeah.
I think we went too extreme with this proposal.
For senior living would be a great.
Yeah.
use of that.
Yeah.
And close to the fire
Right.
station is like, yeah,
yeah,
100%.
We've got that sunrise,
yeah.
which
Sunrise
is where
is
some of
back
our
there.
plans have been.
But I think at one of the
But
board
it's
meetings, I
weird.
remember someone saying that there's a shortage of that in Cascade as
Yeah,
the
there is.
population ages.
Yeah,
So if these plans work out, maybe
I mean, we
we can put a
only
little
have
carrot
that.
out there that, hey, if there's
Sentinel
someone that
Place.
wants
or
to
whatever
invest in
it's
a
called.
retirement community,
Point.
But if you could even get a few, like, I don't know, can you get like some restaurants and little shopping back there as well?
That was along 28th Street.
Along 28th
So-
Well,
Street.
anything, okay.
Yeah.
But that's so close,
They-
it's
they
really
could do
close.
it.
Right,
So along 28th Street, if you look in the new zoning map, where Centennial Park was, it was all Centennial Park. And I can't remember how many feet we went back from 28th Street.
To say no
Basically, the
residential.
first lots can
Mhm.
be commercial, multi-use, correct?
yeah,
Commercial, I think they,
Oh,
I think
just
they
commercial.
pulled it back. You can't have residential along 28th Street other than in that village board based on the fear and concern that it.
And it was one of the changes, that's why I
okay,
think we're gonna.
Well, that makes
To your point,
sense.
I agree with your point.
Like something more charming in there, like where all those apart, you know, where they could walk to a coffee shop. or-
yeah,
I
And
think he's done
Centennial
a
Park
good-
already has the infrastructure. I mean, you could add some sidewalks, but it's got the lights, it's got the, the street was redone. It's,
Mhm.
I think he's done a good, we've got a lot of opportunity and there's a
Yeah.
lot of spaces.
Yeah.
There's some
It's a big
really cool
deal.
places in Memphis that were old, huge buildings like that have been taken over and they've got a bunch of different stores within those.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
restaurants. Trying to think what it was called. There's even a church in the middle of it, like, that has a bunch of the space.
mhm.
I could figure out what that building was, because I went there when I was down there once.
So it'll be interesting, once this gets passed, we'll have to, put pen to paper and see, okay, what can we do with this building, actually the zoning, and then talk with the business owners and property owners, and then see where that goes and the reaction we got. And again, we agree with it.
we're lucky to have the problem of, and a lot of times we need development, we need businesses to come, we need, we're hurting for economic development, and we kind of have the opposite. West Michigan's booming, and we want to make sure that we stay a kind of a bedroom residential community. At least I think that's a way the majority of residents, people who pay taxes and vote want. They don't want to become Grand Rapids.
And then the only other update I have is as of today, we got a DDA manager again. We went internally this time. Eric doesn't even know it, but Ryan Sennett, who is our zoning administrator, he's a young man that, he's done some internships at some communities. He's getting a master's in public administration. He's been our zoning administrator for about a year now. Great guy, great personality. I think we've got a lot to learn, but I think we're at such a good point in the DDA and the working with me, I think he's gonna do really well. So him and I had a long conversation today, so he's gonna step in and take on the DDA manager role.
Did we lost the other guy?
Oh, yeah, let's see if you came to the meetings.
People would remember when I told them that I'm gonna miss my first meeting in all these.
No, unfortunately, he was a rock star and, his partner got transferred to Texas.
Oh,
And like 2 or 3 weeks after he started, and he
Oh.
felt really bad, but I'll tell you what, that was gonna be a really good, he clicked.
darn it.
Good
He
energy.
was a nice guy.
Yeah, he was.
Very nice.
So, yeah, so unfortunately,
Yeah.
we lost him. So
Okay.
pleased we got him. So with that, that's all that I had. today.
And the Heritage Fest, was the Heritage Festival in August last year? Was September?
Yep, same
Okay.
weekend, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes, thank you for bringing it up. So, September 20th, we're gonna do very similar to last year, looking for volunteers for that night. I know you were out, but, if
What?
anybody wants to volunteer that evening, it was fun, 5 to 9. Looking for volunteers, let me know, and,
Okay.
I'm really proud of volunteers as well.
Scott, are you in this year?
I gotta see if I'm in town. If I'm in town, I'll see.
Okay.
Sign me.
Yeah. Takes sampling along the way.
We had fun. It was really fun.
It was fun.
We had a great
It
time.
was great weather.
Yeah.
It was a great.
Scott, you could do it.
Let me check, I'm probably up for it.
You would, it would be, it's fun. It really was fun.
So
We had
Dan
a
and
great
Sydney
time.
have kind of taken it from it this year, got some good things planned. They're actually bringing back the cornhole tournament, but from a professional, like, there's actually a cornhole league out there, and there's an app, and they're called Growers, and there's a guy who, he's an ex-Major League Baseball player that Dan knows, that organizes and all he does is put it out there where it's at, and people just come. So there'll be, cornhole, like,
Wow.
it comes with all of the boards, so it's not, we're not gonna be limited on boards and teams. So everybody in the community can participate. The schools are doing something with the bouncy houses, face painting, all that stuff, and then,
Are we having a band?
The dogs.
Here?
oh, you ever heard of the duck dog?
Of what?
Run off the end into a pool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Are you gonna bring your?
We're gonna have
I
that?
don't need a pool if I bring them, I won't listen. But, you'll be able to bring your own dog and run it off this dock into the pool. So the fire department's setting up the pool the night before by the museum. And, so that's where they've already worked out with the church. So Dan and City have kind of taken this, and then we're just doing some bouncy houses, so, but that's gonna be the gist of it this year, and some food vendors,
Band.
and the band. Yes, of course.
The band.
Is it the same
Band
band
was
as last
good.
year? Okay.
So the one, I can't remember the name. But anyway, so it should be a good time again.
Yeah.
Great, we're good with no Michigan or Michigan State football that day, so.
There is
Wait, that's a
football,
Benny.
Well, there's football.
But
there
not,
is football,
Yes, there is
This is
football.
not home.
It's not home. So,
but some people will still be watching it.
yes, we'll have the TVs up, like we did last year.
we did.
Yeah.
One more quick question, what happened to Subway?
We'll have it Subway.
Or
What
volunteer.
is
Yeah.
Weird. What's
Wait, the subway in Cascade?
Yeah, the one. that-
Yeah, oh,
They're
so
gone.
fun.
All of a sudden, I went up there to get dinner, or to get lunch, it's gone.
I had.
Yeah,
We went there today.
Well,
Three, 4 months ago, it's been vacant, they finally got it.
shut you off there. Wait,
Yeah.
really?
Wait, I thought.
The store nipple.
Did it move anywhere else?
No.
It was right during the resurfacing, so I was
They-
wondering if that was the last straw.
We're struggling. And it's Subway as a franchise has been struggling significantly of oversaturation.
Do you think it's Jimmy John's being so popular?
It's
Then you've got Firehouse Subs, you've got,
Using money.
that, and they opened way too many locations in close proximity to them.
Yeah.
Amongst other challenges they had as a franchise.
Just a brand aspect too. Just from my perspective, it's just kind of old.
Yeah.
Where's the nearest Jimmy John?
I don't go.
The Jimmy John's.
You don't drive from there, you don't take it out of your.
Oh, that's right.
Who's going in the space? Store nipple, brewery gonna take it over?
Yeah, I think they did their expansion.
They have big signs up there, like, come eat here. Stuff like that.
That's two restaurants out of that.
Yeah, because the Mexican place went out.
Oh, yeah,
It's
maybe
shut out.
that-
I told you guys about that one. She just closed up one day.
I don't think anything worse than there. I'm surprised that Napa.
Shepherds were.
I don't think the auto place is.
I don't think they're making.
Quite a fall.
You don't think Shepherds is never?
No.
That was the auto place. The auto place.
They must
Those
probably,
zones.
that's probably the only reason why they're there.
And I don't
Nobody.
know.
And that, the lease on that's gotta be 20 grand a month.
But remember the restaurants that were in there? And they didn't last. I thought those were.
And the drag queen store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had a shot.
Actually, you sit in it, right? Like it's.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, and it's a popular place in other areas,
Yeah,
so,
surprising.
and they were popular, something happened.
COVID.
Yeah,
Was it COVID?
Was it?
Yeah, I actually read a lot about it.
Okay.
They
Because it
opened.
was packed all the time.
They really did. There's something good.
Do you think it is also that locate, that whole strip mall is kind of tired?
I
They
think
just updated
It
it.
looked-
definitely tired.
It's definitely tired. At least they did the.
They
block
did
parking
update
lot.
it.
Yeah.
They put a few
I
million
think
into
you
it a few
learn.
years ago to
Did
do
they?
like
Yeah, you're
thought
right.
improvements.
This is what I think. If you're local and you wanna go to like a local restaurant, you're not driving down 28th Street. If you're driving down 28th Street looking for a restaurant, you're gonna go for a chain that you know.
You're not going that far if you're on 28th Street.
Just in general, like if I wanna go to a local restaurant, which we often do, we don't think 28th Street. And if I'm in a new city, like somewhere where I'm visiting, I don't, like sometimes we go to local places, but if we want something really quick, we just go to a chain that we know.
That's interesting
And
you say that.
it's not right by the.
So if you're like
expressway,
not a chain on 28th Street. Think about if you're, well, because you're on 28th Street, you guys might not feel that way, but like if we're sitting at home and we're trying to figure out where to go to dinner. We always want local and we'll go to Shepherd, but we don't go 28th Street. We think other places. We think, okay, what's in downtown Ada, what's in Easttown, what's in, we don't think what's on 28th Street for a local restaurant.
Do you know that plaza on Fulton, just before Amway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that similar
Yeah.
kind of, it's the same thing as I've had some customers that have had restaurants in that plaza.
Just can't make it.
And they just can't make it
Really?
because it's the same thing. It's like you'll go to either downtown Ada, you just don't think about that plaza, even though it's so perfectly located.
Yeah.
It's just on the main drag and you just don't.
Unless you know of a specific restaurant that
Right.
you wanna go to that's.
Which there have been in that place, the
Same
Chinese
thing, they
place.
just keep
was
revolving.
really popular.
You're right. Well, this is
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and because they can
No.
say
That-
that, and they got a follow.
Okay.
Metro Cruise.
Moving along.
But yeah, Metro Cruise is this weekend. There's a concert Thursday, and then the activity on Saturday. How's that Saturday? Yeah,
Not here, though. That's down at the other end.
at Friendship Park. Oh, no, they're doing a band in Friendship Park.
yeah.
Yeah.
We supported that. There was,
You did.
we were gonna see if it is supposed to do it.
You did.
But we all did at
The DDA.
Yeah.
the DDA.
Actually, great that we had that conversation today, so I think after this, we kind of look at, what they do with the district.
Right.
Maybe surveying some of the businesses to talk about what Metro Cruise does for them. So I think there's some
Yeah.
more conversations that we can have about that before.
And that's what we talked about in that meeting.
Mhm.
If we do this year, then we
Yeah.
want some,
Yeah.
would like to see what value.
Yeah.
Well, and with that said, I think there's more opportunity for, we'll say local marketing. Again,
Mhm.
I didn't have a problem putting things up at the restaurant, to talk about things that are going on in the community. But I don't have the time to sit there and create it.
Right.
So if, for the Metro Cruise, for the concert, but
Mhm.
yeah, we've been able to put posters up in the vestibules and in the
I
drive-through. or
thought
whatever.
he said he would do that. Like he would put together
Flyer.
some, yeah,
I didn't
in that
get-
meeting, I thought we talked about that.
Yeah, I think we did. Now I can say that I don't think that he sent us any of those specific flyers for it.
And that's on him now, right? Like that's his.
I mean,
It is,
that's-
but it's his deal, and he's
Yeah,
the
no, yeah.
marketer,
So
so,
these are all the things I think we talked about
Yeah,
afterwards.
okay.
What happens and then also.
yeah, because it's.
Because I think the community is aware of the Thursday night warm up.
Mhm.
They're not aware of the Saturday night concert.
I don't think they are either. Okay. Our communications person had to move to Traverse City or else they relocated, so at the township, we're we've got Jessica and we're kind
Yeah,
of in
but
between.
Piecemeal a little bit.
So I would,
One more thing,
mhm.
yeah, we need a,
So
so
we're,
we're looking
So
for
we have,
communications.
no, we
No.
go, are we still?
We've got,
No, we got somebody,
Yeah.
so we, between her and then also, I do really think honestly, someone that's dedicated to the DDA that can manage these types of things. This is all such low hanging fruit that this,
Yeah.
and it's something I talked about Brian today. It's just, it's
Okay.
advertising, supporting, and
Yep.
it's your remark.
Okay.
And it's simple, it's so simple to do, so.
yeah,
And when we had the conversation today, and so I think that type of thing will, having one dedicated that can do that. 'Cause there's
and,
only so much that Jessica and I can do.
Right.
in a day.
well, right. I mean, all of a sudden Jessica's name comes up a lot.
I
It's like,
know.
oh yeah, she needs one more thing to do. Tell us again the name of the person who's at the township, right? That you're saying, Ryan
Senate,
Senate.
yeah,
Okay,
and he will be at our next meeting.
okay, all right. Any other business on Article 7? Is any other business? New, old? I think we just kind of had that conversation. Okay. Article 8, acknowledging visitors. We do have a visitor.
Yeah,
Did you want to speak
yes,
with us this evening?
yes.
So we do
Did we
limit
wake
it.
you up?
I am Ben Ram at 6461 Cascade Road, resident here in Cascade. First one, I congratulate Troy Group on the Castle Park. Full disclosure, I work at Tower Pinkston Architects, which
Oh.
our name was in the hat. But I'm actually very excited that Troy Group is involved because I know that someone's on the Parks Committee and in the area is working on it. So I'm very excited about that. Just one thing for Leslie Castle Park, I kind of want to just task the DDA board, the Cascade Township Board, Parks Committee that, you know, when moving forward with Leslie Castle Park, I know that you have the constituents of donors to take into mind. You have, you know, different agendas that you have to kind of like work with. But one thing I would like to task you with and just consider is, you know, think of the next generation, you know, families with kids, that want to use this space, you know, look at this as an opportunity to draw young families to the village of Cascade. I've been in Cascade for about 8-9 years now. It is very auto-centric, a lot of cars, high speeds, wide lane roads. And one thing I'm really looking forward to, and I'm appreciating what you guys are talking about with the rezoning and, you know, the challenges of that and the positives and negatives. So I see all that, but I know that everything is moving towards a positive direction, a good direction. So it makes me feel good about it, but just think about the younger generations, in terms of the families that bring kids to these places. You know, we go to Burton Park and walk up there and go to Cascade Township Park, which I guess is Rec Park now, to play, but somewhere that's like bikeable or walkable within proximity to amenities of stores and retail. I feel like the village is a good opportunity for that. And I think Leslie Castle Park could be that catalyst to start and kickstart that, which seems to be the direction moving forward. So that's all I have for that. One thing I will say that I was at the July 23rd board meeting that I do want to just say that didn't really appreciate was that I was told to go to a different township to use an amenity.
Oh, the splash pad, go to
Splash
ADA,
pad.
they're opening one.
I'm in Cascade Township. Taxes here, I have kids here, I'm here. It's very discouraging when I'm told to go somewhere else that isn't where I'm. So keep that in mind in terms of how can we help our community and our members be active within the community and not have to go somewhere else. Because I live here for a reason and I want to enjoy it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
Can I
tonight.
ask a follow-up question? It's okay. Anything else that you want to see that, I know you said that for the kid, a little bit more kid friendly, but anything you had in mind specifically?
Well, I know there was like the initial concept
plan for Leslie Castle Park, and I'm a big proponent of splash pads. And I know splash pads are costly, but they kind of are a nexus of activity for families with kids. Like anyone who doesn't know each other kind of comes there, and they let the kids interact. They let the kids connect the parents. Like that's how you get communities to be connected. And Leslie Castle Park could be that location where everybody comes to. And when you start bringing those families in, you start bringing activity in, which it kind of builds from the center out in terms of propagating to the businesses nearby. So I think there's a really great opportunity for Leslie Castle Park. So just, I know there's a lot on your plate, it's a lot of decisions to be made, but just think of how that could explode from the center out. So anyway.
That's great.
Hey, Ben, that resonates with me.
Me too.
And I think one of the first steps was the bridge.
Yeah,
So-
that's a great improvement.
And so your voice is unheard. I think we all agree with you for the most part.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, our goal has been trying to get it a place where people go to hang out. How do we do that? That's the question,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
with a speed limit that we have no control over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard about that. And that's unfortunate, but yeah.
I know.
Yeah, sorry on behalf of the board too, that I'm sure half of that was me, and it's not against it, it's just cost benefit, but I appreciate you coming in and really well said, so apologies for how that was worded at the board.
No, I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm listening, and it's really neat to see how you're all working together, brainstorming and thinking of different things and moving things forward. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks for taking the time to come.
Yeah,
So, thank you.
yeah, much appreciated. And that brings us to Article 9, adjournment. I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So I can contribute, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, this is the funny part. All in favor? Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.